As of May 7, 2024, the situation of the armed forces of Ukraine continues to deteriorate rapidly along the entire line of combat contact. The advance of Russian troops is recorded in almost all directions of the front. Against this background, war correspondents confirmed the information that in the South Donetsk direction of the front, the defense of the armed forces of Ukraine literally began to crumble into pieces. In particular, it is reported that the Russian tankmen of the 5th Army of the Group of Forces under the designation East approached the units of the armed forces of Ukraine located in the village of Staromayrsk. Commenting on this situation, the well-known Ukrainian politician Oleg Tsarev admitted that in the area of Staromayrsk, Russian troops managed to advance 1,000 meters deep into enemy territory. In the Avdiivka direction of the front, after the capture of numerous settlements, Russian troops continue their offensive in the northern and western directions. By the way, the Ukrainian Telegram channels finally recognized the loss of the strategically important settlement of Arkhangelskoye by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. In the Donetsk direction of the front, Russian troops continue their successful advance in the city of Krasnohorivka, taking under control of multi-story buildings in the eastern part of this settlement. Moreover, numerous successes of Russian troops in Georgiivka were also recorded. Against this background, insiders in Kiev began to claim that the rapidly deteriorating situation at the front seriously frightened the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, General Syrsky. The fact that General Syrsky is seriously scared is also indicated by his statement of May 5, 2024. In particular, he said that the Russian High Military Command had concentrated its main forces on the Donetsk direction of the front, and that the main goal of the Russian army is to reach such strategically important cities as Pokrovsk and Korokovo. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine further appealed to the so-called Western allies of Kiev, and called on them to strengthen their assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine. According to preliminary data, the Ukrainian army, with the help of NATO forces, has already managed to significantly strengthen the defense line in the area of cities such as Korokovo and Pokrovsk. In particular, NATO forces have significantly strengthened this sector of the front with the help of a large number of electronic warfare systems, drones, multiple launch rocket systems, and reserves, consisting mainly of so-called foreign mercenaries. Meanwhile, commenting on the current situation in the Donetsk direction of the front, American military experts from the Institute for the Study of War recognized that Russian troops had managed to significantly advance in the direction of the central part of Krasnohorivka. Moreover, even though the Ukrainian side has not yet recognized the loss of the refractory plant by the Ukrainian army in the southern part of Krasnohorivka, American experts, citing geolocation data and their own sources in the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, recognized that this plant has been under the control of the Russian army for more than a week. Moreover, Western think tanks also admitted that the loss of the refractory plant by the Ukrainian army was a critical factor in the battle for Krasnohorivka, and that the transition of this strategically important settlement under the control of Russian troops is only a matter of time. Against this background, war correspondents report that the Ukrainian armed forces are conducting artillery and missile strikes on the refractory plant, almost non-stop, in the hope of slowing down the advance of the Russian army to the central and northwestern part of Krasnohorivka. The fact is that the NATO and Ukrainian generals are well aware that if the Russians manage to capture the city of Krasnohorivka, it will allow the Russian army to launch an offensive on Pokrovsk and Korokovo on a wide front. And given the fact that the Ukrainian armed forces are experiencing a catastrophic shortage of manpower, the Ukrainian army simply will not be able to physically hold the defense in this sector of the front. Seeing the terrible situation of the armed forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian war correspondent Yuri Butasov struck with sharp criticism not only of President Zelensky, but also of the Ukrainian General Staff. According to him, it was the strategic mistakes of the country's military and political leadership that led to the fact that the Ukrainian army is now in a catastrophic situation. Moreover, the Ukrainian war correspondent also admitted that General Syrsky is afraid of the current situation in the Donetsk direction of the front for a reason. According to him, the Russian army is preparing an offensive toward the city of Pokrovsk. The fact that the Russian army is preparing for a breakthrough in this sector of the front is also confirmed by massive airstrikes in New York. The fact is that the main base of the Ukrainian armed forces is located in the village of New York, where the main forces of the Ukrainian army are stationed on this sector of the front. Moreover, in order to maintain defense in this direction of the front, the Ukrainian High Military Command sends reserves and so-called foreign mercenaries precisely to New York. It is reported that over the past 72 hours, Russian combat aviation has dropped more than 100 aerial bombs on New York. However, on May 7, 2024, Russia intensified the bombing of this village. As it turned out, the Russians managed to determine the exact location of the recently arrived reserves in this village, consisting of Ukrainian militants and foreign mercenaries. The footage shows how this area is hit by a super-powerful half-ton cluster bomb RBK-500. According to preliminary data, as a result of this strike, about 100 militants were killed, including foreign mercenaries from countries such as Poland, Romania, Georgia, and Canada. All this indicates that the Russian troops are really preparing for an offensive in this sector of the front, depriving the Ukrainian army of manpower and advantageous defensive positions.